Finishmaxxing is the meta you've been missing. I promise you, if you listen to this video, I don't think it'll be too long, and you actually take action on the words I'm going to speak to you today, you will make progress in your endeavor to success in whatever it is. Because the bottom line of whether you want your dream physique, you want to run that successful business, you want better grades, you want to get accepted in that university that you've desired so much, the bottom line is actually doing the work. And it's what people struggle with the most in the modern world, is actually being productive towards their goals. And Finishmaxxing is the solution you need. And I know it's not what you think. It's a really obvious, really simple technique. And it's all around the cognitive load theory. The idea that your brain, much like a computer and its RAM, the available memory, only has a certain amount of information it can hold before you start to lag. So if you open a computer or a shitty laptop and you run 4 different platforms, 4 games and 50 tabs on Google, the laptop will run slow and it won't work as well as if you only had 1 tab open, and your brain works the exact same way. If you have 15 unanswered questions and open loops in your brain, you're going to be slower, less sharp, and more prone to falling to procrastination and the bad habits you're trying to avoid to get the success you want in your life. So how do we, so what is the solution we need? Finishmaxxing. Finish everything you start, whether it be a TV show, a meal, a question, a conversation, a simple task. It needs to be done. Otherwise, the open loop will remain in the brain and you'll be constantly dwelling on it subconsciously, sometimes consciously, but either way it's going to take up your mental storage, your memory, make you slower, more lethargic and less productive overall, which we all know will lead to less results in the success of the endeavor you're trying to succeed in. So Finishmax, reduce cognitive load, and here are some easy tips to do it. Number 1, stop delaying simple shit. If it's simple, do it. If someone emails you and it's a tiny task, rather than putting it off unless you're in deep work, etc., and you don't want to be distracted, just do it right that. I had someone email me today, can you convert this MP4A to an MP3? It takes 30 seconds. Bless them, they didn't know how to do it. Done. Increase the perceived value because I look like a genius who's a skilled technician, etc. But it took me 30 seconds rather than putting it down, oh, to-do list tomorrow, I'm going to convert this. It's just stupid. Whereas if I didn't, if I put it on a to-do list, yeah, maybe it would clear the cognitive load a little bit because I put it, I'm going to do it tomorrow. But it's still in my mind, I've got to do this task. It's taking up that little bit of space. Whereas if I just get out of the way, it took me 30 seconds, send the email back, I look like a G, my mind's clear, I'm more productive for the rest of the day. Simple as that. On the contrary though, to-do lists are essential because they physically clear the loop. So for example, if you had 10 tasks during the day, so you have 10 tasks taking up your cognitive load for the day, right? In this micro scale. Your mind's full of these tasks, yeah, I need to complete them, I need to complete them, I need to complete them. They're dwelling in your brain. Imagine if you went to bed without completing a single task. You'd probably have a poor night of sleep. You'd probably have nightmares about the tasks you haven't done, but you'd wake up the next day feeling a little bit more drained, less productive, and you'd have this looming, impending feeling of dread because you haven't completed the work you need to do, and it's been circling around in your subconscious, making you less productive. So, take them off, get them done, obviously. And this comes to this secondary rule of don't put something on a to-do list if you know you can't complete it. Do an audit of your time. You have 8 hours during the day. If you set yourself 10 hours of work, you're gonna have these 2 hours worth of tasks that when not completed are gonna dwell in your brain and make you less productive. Whereas if you set yourself a reasonable amount of work, so say you had 8 hours to do work, you set yourself 7 because it's an hour for the distractions of life and the unproductivity that naturally seeps in after working for a long period of time, then there's nothing. Once you've closed the loop, you tick off all the tasks on your to-do list, you may rest, you may recover, and wake up the next day sharp and ready to attack the day with the visceral focus that you wouldn't have had if you set yourself 10 hours of work in 8 hours you had. And the final piece of, I guess, advice on cognitive load is the self-image it builds. As a secondary benefit of improving your cognitive load and reducing the cognitive load you have during the day to allow yourself to be more productive, you improve your self-image. Because if you see your to-do list from years, in my case, I plan every single day of my life, and I'd advise you do too, it verifies that you are who you say you are. It gives you tangible evidence to prove that you are that productive guy, the person who's making progress towards their goals, as a byproduct, as another positive of reducing this cognitive load. Never say you're going to do something if you don't actually do it. When you've spoken the words into the ether of the universe, it has to be done. And this is something I'm trying to do this year, desperately, because last year everyone does it. I'm going to do this, I'm going to run a marathon, and you just say this because you're mentally masturbating over this imaginary idea of you completing something good. And it gives you status, even though you don't actually achieve it, right? If I was in a group of my friends and I said, yeah, I'm going to run a marathon, everyone's getting hyped, everyone's hyping you up, it feels great. And then you don't do it. Maybe your friends will forget, they'll let it slide, but your mind won't. If you have two friends, one in your time of need, you call, he's there, he's ready to respond, he's by your side, your greatest ally. You will trust him with every pound in your bank account. Whereas your other friend, who never picks up the phone, who's lazy, they don't help you out, they don't even respond to a single message, it takes them weeks to respond, you'd hardly trust them with a £5 note. And your brain is the same way. If you don't do the things you say you're going to do to clear this cognitive load, to stop dwelling on the things that you've promised you're going to do, which is taking up your cognitive load to make you less productive, your brain won't give you this gem of dopamine, this zest of life, because it knows, he always says he's going to go to the gym. Why would I trust him this time? Build proof, and it's a byproduct of reducing cognitive load by actually doing the things you say you're going to do, ticking them off, and getting them the frick out of your brain, because otherwise you're going to be procrastinating every single day because you're so clouded and borderline burnt out from the amount of stuff floating around in there. I really hope this video helps you, and subscribe for more. I'm going to be posting a lot.